Hello everybody, Sorbeaten here and welcome back to another past paper practice video. In this video, I will be tackling some consumer or arithmetic multiple choice type questions. So let's head straight into the first question. So this question says, Susan bought a calculator for $120. She paid a sales tax of 10% on the price. How much change should she receive from $140? So we see Susan bought a calculator for $120, so that is the cost of the calculator, and she paid a sales tax of $10, and she paid a sales tax of 10%. So we know sales tax, that means more money will be added to the cost of the calculator. So let's find 10% of the cost of the calculator, which would be 10 over 100 multiplied by the 120. So this 0 cancels with that 0, this 0 cancels with that 0, so 1 times 12 will be 12. So the sales tax will amount to $12. So the price that she'll pay for the calculators would be 120 plus 12, which would be 2 plus 0 is 2, 2 plus 1 would be 3, and 1. So she paid $132 for the calculator. This is inclusive of the tax. So the change that she would receive would be 140 minus 132, which would give me $8. So she would receive $8 change from the 140. So let's move on to the next question. So this question says, a salesman is paid 5% of his sales as commission. His sales for last month were $2,020. How much commission was he paid? So when we talk about commission, we're thinking about the extra money that you get for, the work that you do. In this case, he's paid 5% of the money that he earns for the company in sales. So what we need to do to find his commission that he was paid, we need to find 5% of this money. That will give the commission. So 5% would be 5 over 100. Percentage is out of 100 multiplied by 2020. So this 0 go with that 0. 5 ones 5, 5 into 10, 2. So we have 202 divided by 2, which would give me 101. So he's paid a commission of $101 after he made sales value in 2020. So this answer here would be C. So next question says, a man pays 60 cents for every 200 meters cube of gas used, plus a fixed charge of $13.75. How much does he pay when he uses 55,000 meters cube of gas? So we see he pays 60 cents for every 200 meters cube, and in this case he used 55,000 meters cube of gas. So we need to find how many 200 can we get from this 55,000. So let's divide. So we'll have 55,000 divided by 200. So 200 can go into 5, 200 can go into 55, 200 can go into 550. So we know that can go 2 times. 2 times 200 times 2 will give me 400. So we subtract here, we'll get 0, 5, 1. So 150. So we bring down the 0. So 200 can go into 150 7 times. So 200 times 7 would be 1400. So we subtract 0, go with that 0, 0. 4 from 5 would be 1. 1 from 1 would be 0. So we have 100 and we bring down the 0. So we'll have 1,000. So 200 can go into 1,000 5 times. So 200 times 5 would be 1,000. So this would just be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this is the amount of 200 we can find in 55,000. So what we need to do now, he pays 60 cents for every one of this. So we need to multiply this by 60 cents. So this would be 275 multiplied by 60 cents. So 60 cents would be the same as 0.60. So what we need to do, we can move this decimal point to the end there, 1, 2, and we'll have 275 multiplied by 60. So this 0 go here. So 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 7 would be 42. 42 plus 3 would be 45. And 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 4 would be 16. So we have 165, and remember we jumped out the 0.602 times, so we got to move back in the point 2 times from here, so we jump 1, 2. So 165 is how much he paid. So remember, he pays a fixed charge of $13.75. So you'll have 165 plus $13.75. So we can put 0, 0 here, we add. So we have 5, 7, and 5 and 3 would be 8, so we bring down the point. 6 and 1 would be 7, and we bring down the 1. So $178.75, and this answer would be simply A. So we had to do some calculation there, and that's how you do that calculation. So we find the amount of 200 in the 55,000. We multiply that by the amount of money he pays for every 200, and we add the fixed charge. We cannot forget to add the fixed charge. So let's move on to the next question. This one says, if TT $6 is equivalent to US $1, then TT $15 in US dollars is, so you know 6 TT is equal to 1 US. So we want to find what is $15 TT. So we know the conversion rate is 6 to 1, so we divide the 15 TT by the $6, and this will give us the amount of US. So we divide the 15 by 6, so 6 can go into 15 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12, so we subtract here, we'll get 3. So 6 can go into 3, so we add a decimal point and we add a 0. So 6 can go into 30 5 times, so 6 times 5 is 30, so we subtract there, we get 0. So 15 TT is equivalent to 2.5 US dollars, which is simply C. So one thing we need to know when we are converting from the smaller currency to the currency that has the most value, in this case the smaller currency, or the currency with the lesser value would be TT as compared to US. When you convert it from TT to US, we divide. If you wanted to convert from US to TT, we'll multiply, because 1 US is equal to 6 TT. So if you want to convert from US to TT, you'll multiply, because the least amount of US you have, more TT you will have. And the more TT you have, the least US you will have, the least amount of US you will have. So that is why we divide in this case. So with that, this has brought me to the end of this video, in which I tackled some multiple choice type questions on consumer arithmetic. I trust that these videos brought out some concepts, and I want you to use these concepts to practice more of these questions, more questions like these. So I'll see you in the next video, in which I'll be tackling some more questions like these. Until then, keep practicing.